Thank you for tuning in to Inside Taiwan. I'm Melvin Tim. Chinese human rights activist Chen Guangcheng arrived on the night of June 23rd to begin his 19-day tour of Taiwan. Chen is glad to be able to visit Taiwan to observe its democratic system. Some have wondered if Chen would be meeting with President Ma Ying-jeou during this trip. While Chen has said that he would be open to meeting any individuals who cares about promoting human rights, the office of the president has said the president has not scheduled a meeting with Chen. The meeting between Legislative Speaker Wang Jingping and Chen on June 25th has also been cancelled.
报到台湾，我已经到了，非常高兴。
Chinese activist Chen Guangcheng arrived in Taiwan with his family. Chen's wife and Taiwan Association for China Human Rights chairman Yang Xianhong helped him disembark. Chen even displayed his entry permit due to the sensitive nature of his identity. He thanked Taiwan for supporting human rights in China and hopes Taiwan's democracy will promote the growth of democratic systems in Asia. Chen was originally scheduled to meet with Legislative Yuan President Wang Jingping on June 25th and deliver a speech. However, not only has the meeting now been cancelled, the office of the president has also released a statement saying the president has not scheduled a meeting with the activist. Chen's 19-day trip in Taiwan includes attending an international press conference with President Ma's former mentor at Harvard, Professor Jerome Cohen, visiting and delivering speeches at the Legislative Yuan and several universities, visiting NGOs, meeting with Democratic Progressive Party Chairman Su Zhenshang, holding a dialogue with Tainan City Mayor Lai Qingde, and releasing his new book before returning to the United States on July 11th.
The first reactor at the nuclear power plant number 2, located in New Taipei City, shut down automatically last Friday. That was the first simultaneous shutdown in the last 12 years of both nuclear power plants in northern Taiwan, as the first reactor at nuclear power plant number 1 was also down for maintenance. Emergency power supply from southern sources was required to solve the northern Taiwan power shortage situation. Taipower indicated that shutdown at nuclear power plant number 2 was due to generator failure and not reactor problems, so there was no possibility of radiation leak. The power supply crisis has been resolved because the generator problem was fixed.
The hot weather temperature in Taiwan in recent weeks has caused domestic electricity consumption to set record high numbers for the year. The automatic shutdown of nuclear power plant number 2's first reactor in the afternoon on Friday, June 21st, coupled with nuclear power plant number 1's first reactor down for maintenance, caused a power supply shortage of around 1 million kilowatts in northern Taiwan. It was the first time in the last 12 years when both nuclear power plants were down at the same time. Taipower admitted that its maintenance procedures could be improved as nuclear power plant number 2's first reactor has shut down automatically thrice in the last 5 years. However, the problem has been resolved by Sunday, June 23rd, and electricity generation resumes. Since the nuclear power plant number 4 referendum is scheduled for review during Legislative Yuan's upcoming extraordinary session, the automatic shutdown of plant number 2 has prompted lawmakers to request thorough operational safety reviews of nuclear power plants number 1, 2, and 3. The simultaneous stoppage of nuclear power plants number 1 and 2 during the electricity peak usage season also highlights the possibility of power rationing for everyone during the summer.
Opposition parties are dissatisfied with the cross-strait service trade agreement signed recently between Taiwan and China and are therefore demanding for it to be discussed during the extra legislative session. They have also ordered Premier Zhang Yihua to appear at the Legislative Yuan to report on the pact, threatening to boycott the session if he fails to appear. In response, the Kuomintang said several pressing issues on the agenda need to be resolved during this session.
The extra legislative yuan session was scheduled to begin on June 25th to deal with the urgent issues of the capital gains tax, the 12-year compulsory education system, and the 4th nuclear power plant referendum. However, as opposition parties are extremely dissatisfied with the recent cross-strait service trade agreement signed between Taiwan and China, they have demanded that it be included on the agenda of the session and that Premier Zhang Yihua appear to explain it. Otherwise, they will boycott the session and refuse to discuss any of the bills. In response to the threats by the opposition parties to bog down the legislative process, the Kuomintang Legislative Caucus said it hopes that the issues of the capital gains tax, the 12-year compulsory education system, and the fourth nuclear power plant referendum can be resolved during the extra session. Negotiations on the agenda of the extra session on the morning of June 24th between the ruling and opposition parties were not fruitful, and therefore whether anything will be accomplished during the extra session remains unknown.
Many voices have emerged in opposition to an anti-media monopoly act that will be discussed during the upcoming extra legislative yuan session. Some fear it will be tantamount to be the reinstatement of the Publication Act, which curbed the freedom of the press. In response, well-known academics such as former Education Minister Zhang Wei-chen said these accusations have no basis and urged the political parties to keep their promise and pass the act during the session.
The Legislative Yuan is set to discuss an anti-media monopoly act during its extra session. Recently, several print media outlets joined the clamor over this act, saying that passing it would be tantamount to reinstating the Publication Act, which curbed the freedom of the press. Therefore, they urged lawmakers to vote against the passage. In response, hundreds of well-known academics and professors such as former Education Minister Zheng Ruichen, National Taiwan Normal University Vice President Lin Dongtai, and former National Zhenji University College of Communication Dean Chen Shiming signed a statement saying these accusations have no basis and reminding legislators to keep their promise to pass the act during the session. The statement was also directed at Want China Times Group for its unceasing criticism of the Anti-Media Monopoly Act.
The Consumer Protection Committee discovered traces of carcinogens and antibiotics in 2 lunch boxes containing eggs. Investigators found eggs containing flumequine in lunch boxes supplied by Pingrong to Family Mart. In the 4,000 lunch boxes that Fengwei Foods supplied daily to schools and companies, investigators found thiamphenicol and fluorphenicol. The Department of Health is looking into the source of these tainted food items.
The Consumer Protection Committee discovered tainted eggs in 2 lunchboxes sold commercially earlier this April. Eggs in lunchboxes supplied by Pingrong to Family Mart were discovered to contain 1.03 parts per million of flumequine. Investigators also found 1.0 parts per billion of TAP and 42.2 parts per billion of FF in the 4,000 lunchboxes that Kaohsiung's Fangwei Foods provides daily to schools and companies. Pingrong's lunchboxes are made from ingredients supplied by Kaohsiung's Jingding. The company has confessed to making the mistake, and the companies are no longer working together. According to experts, consuming flumequine may increase cancer risk. TAP and FF are known to cause anemia and lower white blood cell count. The CPC has requested the Department of Health to send out a notice to take these products off shelves.
Eggs are an integral part of our daily food sources. Consumers, however, should beware of eggs with questionable qualities. Out of 30 egg products recently tested by the Taipei City Department of Health during a random sampling test, 8 products were found with non-compliant veterinary drug residues. The problematic eggs were sold by 6 traditional market vendors and 2 national chain stores, namely Welcome Supermarkets and Matsuse Supermarkets.
During a recent random sampling test of 30 egg products by Taipei City Department of Health, 8 were found to contain veterinary drug residues non-compliant with regulations. The problematic eggs were sold by 2 national chain stores, namely Welcome Supermarkets and Matsuse Supermarkets, and 6 traditional market vendors. The Taipei DOH indicated that Welcome Supermarkets own no-frills brand selected fresh wash eggs sold by the chain's Shidong store located in Shilin District with an expiration date of May 26, 2013, were found to contain the forbidden substance thiamphenicol. Also, Nongjia fresh eggs sold by Matsuse Supermarket's Jilin store in Zhongshan District with an expiration date of May 25, 2013 were found to contain the forbidden substance fluorphenicol. The Taipei DOH stressed that it has to ask the health departments where the eggs come from to trace the egg-producing farms to ensure that other problematic egg products are not sold in the markets. Meanwhile, Welcome Supermarkets and Masuse Supermarkets have promised that all problematic eggs will be off the shelves by noon on Monday, June 24th, and that consumers may return the same batch of egg products by bringing invoices to the stores for a refund.
The latest toxic starch scare once again highlights Taiwan's food safety problems. Experts and consumers groups jointly called for the establishment of food police and for fines to be levied on chemical manufacturers that sell industrial-grade chemicals to food product companies.
Taiwan has been hit with a spate of toxic food scares in recent years. Although lawmakers have amended regulations to ensure harsher penalties for food manufacturers that add illegal additives to products, experts say chemical manufacturers that sell chemicals to food product companies should also be fined or penalized. Civic groups are further calling for the establishment of food police. While there are around 300,000 food processing plants in Taiwan, the island only has 500 food safety inspectors. Police are not involved in inspections, and some plants flat out refuse to be inspected. During a recent food safety conference, one expert said laws should be amended to require that buyers for food processing plants and supermarkets be certified food product technicians. The Department of Health says it will assess the feasibility of this recommendation.
The Penghu Regatta 2013 is currently underway. 11 sailboats are competing in races in and around Penghu Islands as they sailed off from Jiayi's Budai Harbor.
Although the sky was overcast, the sea was calm as the Penghu Regatta 2013 commenced. Participants hailing from several different countries set sail from Jiayi's Budai port, crossed the Taiwan Strait, and ended at Magong Port in Penghu. They were excited to take part in the first edition of the regatta and were looking forward to the week of cruising and racing in and around the beautiful Penghu Islands. The organizers planned several different races for the regatta, including the Budai Magong route, as well as an around the island race ending at Guanyingting. These races will test the participants' endurance as well as promote the beautiful scenery of the Penghu Islands to international sailors. During summers, the waters around the islands are calm and smooth, making them suitable for water sports and activities. Therefore, the local government hopes to transform Penghu into an international sailing destination.
Taitung County is a popular destination for tourists during the summer in Taiwan. Crowds of tourists flock to the area to participate in Luye's Hot Air Balloon Festival and visit Zhishang Township to see its rich cultural industry and stunning scenery. In recent years, the township office has worked with locals to actively promote the region. Their efforts have clearly paid off as the number of tourists visiting the area has increased significantly compared to previous years.
Tour guides from Zhishang Township often show tourists the region's active faults and bring them to listen to locals gossip while doing their laundry. Wainan community is not only known as the home of organic rice. Tour groups and visitors have flocked to the region as it was recently featured in a commercial. Zhishang Township office plans to organize a series of cultural industry events that will coincide with the annual Skiff Festival. This year, event organizers will offer visitors a sightseeing package tour that will take participants deep into Hakka territory to experience the beauty of rural Hakka villages. Visitors can also book tours with local tour guides who offer spectacular tours throughout the year. According to Zhishang Cultural Interpretation Association, the region's unique cultural industry and stunning views were already able to attract crowds of tourists to visit in the past. However, with help from recent promotions, the region has enjoyed a 20% jump in the number of visitors compared to previous years. Those who have not visited Zhishang Township before are encouraged to plan a trip to the region.
骑自行车环岛对一般人来说并不是一件难事，但是对身障人士来说却处处充满挑战。
报名的时候看到这台车，我说哇，这个是用手摇的，那到底要怎么摇过全程嘛？那后来就想说， 既然都已经报名了，也是要给他尝试看看嘛。可是，在练的时候是真的是很辛苦的，那每天都是汗流浃背的。遇到爬坡的时候，真的那你没有一下子冲上去，就会挂在那个半中途，摇也摇不动。
925公里，16个县市，12个白天与黑夜，这些英勇的神风勇士们用意志力成功完成了环岛的不可能任务。
有那么多人在鼓励我们，你们好不容易环岛的回来，让我心里感觉到说一辈子不能完成的任务，靠着自己的手，你把台湾所有的路走了一趟回来，这是大家梦寐以求的。
熬过南北回公路爬坡的煎熬，挨过手酸摇不动的痛苦，这群勇敢追风的神风勇士，用双手转出一个又一个台湾坚毅的希望。
Welcome back. I'm Melvin Tam. 8-year-old Shao Zhirou, a second grader at Kaohsiung Municipal Qijing Elementary School, died from acute leukemia on June 15th after being diagnosed with the disease last December. Her chances for survival diminished after 2 potential bone marrow complete matching donors backed out, and her body rejected a 3rd donor whose bone marrow did not match completely. During the memorial held for the young girl, her mother urged everyone to give sick children more opportunities to live.
In the video, second grader Shao Zirou's smiles were evident behind the mask she wore. A student at Kaohsiung's Municipal Qijing Elementary School, she began having fevers and sore throats in May of 2012. Doctors originally thought she had enterovirus problems, but she was found to have acute leukemia in the end. Hopes for a cure were high after 2 registered bone marrow donors were found to match completely, yet both donors backed out last year. In January this year, a 3rd donor was found. Shao Zirou's body, however, rejected the donated bone marrow because it was an incomplete match, and she died unfortunately on June 15th as a result. Some social welfare groups are proposing for Taiwan to follow the examples of America and European countries to pass a human organ transplant ordinance, making laws to enforce moral standards. During the little girl's recent memorial, family and friends wrote their blessings for her on cards and tearfully bid farewells. Also on display was Shao's last drawing titled, "Donate bone marrow to save someone and live happily every day," in hopes of inspiring donors for other patients in the future.
In recent years, violent incidents have often been reported at medical centers. Despite the fact that medical personnel have started to learn martial arts to protect themselves, many think that this method is a passive way to resolve the problem. They want the government to treat violence at medical centers as indictable crimes. The Department of Health will hold a public hearing before the year's end and invites legal experts and medical personnel to share their opinions on the issue.
Doctors and nursing staff from the hospital have resorted to learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu to protect themselves at their workplace. In recent years, violent incidents have occurred frequently in the nation's medical centers. Doctors say learning martial arts gives them the ability to avoid being struck by irrational patients or their family members. According to the Department of Health, over 650 emergency violent incidents were reported between 2009 and May of 2013. This figure does not include non-emergency violent and non-reported cases. Medical personnel believe learning martial arts to protect themselves will not solve the problem. They urge government officials to treat violent incidents at medical centers as offenses against public safety under the criminal code. The CDC says controlling access to emergency rooms is one way to prevent violent incidents from occurring. Legal experts and medical personnel will be invited to share their opinions at a public hearing before the year's end to decide if violent incidents at medical centers should be treated as indictable crimes.
At present, there are 200,000 to 300,000 of the protected primate species Formosan rock macaques left in Taiwan. As their habitats overlap with those of humans, they often destroy crops and attack livestock. Farmers say the macaques are often destructive than natural disasters and called on the government to take action.
This Taichung farmer points out the bite marks on the persimmons lying on the ground. He says he couldn't do anything when a troop of Formosan rock macaques attacked his fruit. In Taichung, where a conservation district for the Formosan rock macaque is located, 40 to 50 macaques entered into an orchard, eating almost all of the plums that were ready to be harvested. In Hualien, troops of wild macaques have even attacked humans. Some macaques even enter into houses in search of food. Farmers have tried firecrackers and even music to try and scare off the primates, to no avail. They say macaques are even more destructive than natural disasters. Ecologists, however, point out that humans are the ones who have encroached on the natural habitats of the macaques. The current population in Taiwan stands between 200,000 and 300,000, and slaying them or controlling the population may not necessarily resolve the problem. Farmers would like the government to include the destruction wrought by macaques on the list of natural disasters eligible for subsidies. Experts say finding a solution to the problem requires a review of local environments and the characteristics of primates.
The predatory carp of Sun Moon Lake are under threat from the so-called red devils, a cichlid fish native to Central and South America. This type of fish can reproduce rapidly and are eating up the shrimp of the lake as well as the fry and young of the predatory carp, leading to a sharp decrease in the number of native species. The Sun Moon Lake National Scenic Area Administration believes the red devils were dumped in the lake by unscrupulous aquarium owners.
The net is pulled towards the surface and emerges full of red devils, a cichlid fish native to Central America. Nowadays, it's nearly impossible for anglers to pull up any predatory carp, a native species. The number of fish belonging to native species as well as shrimp has dropped drastically due to the presence of the red devils, as they feed on young fish and crustaceans. Several years ago, they became a popular aquarium fish. The Sun Moon Lake National Scenic Area Administration believes unscrupulous aquarium owners dumped red devils into the lake once the craze wore off, leading to the current proliferation. A decade ago, the predatory carp and sharkbelly of Sun Moon Lake were similarly threatened by the Siamese glassfish. In order to raise the population of native species, each year the Sun Moon Lake Fishery Association introduces hundreds of thousands of fish fry and has also encouraged nearby restaurants to use red devils in their dishes. Meanwhile, fishermen have also started an online movement to kill the red devils. Although the Sun Moon Lake National Scenic Area Administration believes these measures will only have a limited effect, they are fine with them as long as they don't cause environmental pollution or lead to illegal fishing. To prevent this type of ecological imbalance from happening again, it is stepping up its monitoring to prevent the dumping of non-native species and has also implemented a program to protect the fish. In this way, it hopes the native species can regain their dominance.
Many luxury yachts have recently been glimpsed at a new marina located next to Taiwan's surfing mecca, Yilan's Wushi Harbor. The government hopes to attract affluent visitors and promote Taiwan as a destination to berth luxury yachts.
This space has been meticulously and sumptuously decorated. It has a spacious and airy living room with expensive sofas and a dining room where diners can request any type of cuisine. Although this may look like a mansion, it is in fact a 300 million NT dollar luxury yacht. Construction of a new marina was recently completed at Yilan's Wushi Harbor, and the fisheries agency hopes to attract foreign visitors. The marina is also open at night, as many activities have been organized to attract visitors, including parties aboard these luxury yachts.
微风吹过树梢，随着绿色影子漫步街头，在城市里深呼吸， 这里是台中新兴的都市创意街区。其美术馆以欧洲街区博物馆为构想，将街道结合环境、互动艺术融合生活美学，打造无界限、在地深入的亲民艺术，也因此提升了当地居民的艺术生活。坐落在草地上的是11间镜面隐形小屋，每间小屋都有一位艺术家的主题创作，从生活截取灵感作为创作题材，连结民众的记忆，唤起对土地最真挚的情感。乐园道的城市美学运动不仅打破了家的界限，找回人与人之间的互动情感，更透过空间与影像间的精密设计，打造了全国第一座的城市发光体。这个发光体坐落在经典绿园道上，融合了建筑与科技的轨迹，构筑了一种创新未来的生活概念。跟着风一起散步捉迷藏，画上光影盒子，来到这个艺术街区，可以将想象无限延伸，丰富心灵视野，让美学与生活更加靠近。
Welcome back, and let's take a look at what's on the event calendar. And that concludes today's Inside Taiwan. I'm Melvin Tan. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.
侨委会副委员长吕元荣走进会议室，亲切地与大家递换名片。这次侨委会举办的亚太地区侨社工作研讨会，共吸引28位平常散居在各地的侨社干部返国参加。
欢迎来自亚太各国侨界的青年领袖干部，他们回国来一起来参与研讨。我们希望透过这样的研讨会，能够让我们在海外为我们侨社服务的青年干部更加了解侨务委员会在为我们侨界所提供的服务，也希望借这个机会能够聆听我们海外侨社实际在为大家服务的这些青年朋友，听听他们对于我们侨务工作的建言。
团员当中，除了有多位来自日本、菲律宾、马来西亚等地的侨领，还有人远从纽澳等地拨冗回国。大家希望透过侨委会精心安排的座谈会，深入了解活路外交政策、两岸关系、台湾经济发展等议题，以便将国内政经文化发展现况带回侨居地，并为侨民们提供更好的服务。
那也希望我们的下一代除了当地的语言，像我们就是讲英文嘛之外呢，对于这个中文也不要忘记。所以想说这次看侨委会有没有一些比较新的东西，我们可以咨询，我们可以把它带回去的。
6天5夜行程，侨界领袖难得齐聚，认识其他地区朋友，交换侨社服务经验，也要协助政府宣导政策，扩大侨界力量。台湾观电视简信林、钟建刚台北采访报道。